aren't the droids we're looking for.
I got a bad feeling about this.
It's them! Blast them!
Alright guys, well, when we recorded this, we released these Empire report cards the same day that the points dropped came out for the Empire. I should say a very unexpected but very welcome points drop that came out for the Empire. Now, the content that you're going to see in this video is all from the perspective of pre-points drop. I have released a new video that I have linked below in the description, updating my perspective of the rankings for these particular units. Colton was out of town this week when this stuff dropped, so you get me instead and my knee-jerk reactions because I have not played any of these things yet with the new points updates. But I wanted to talk about them in the context of the new upgrades that have been released that I think really help out Empire. This has been a really pro-Empire update. So make sure that if you want to see that updated stuff that you check the link below. And I think this video is still really helpful to watch because it talks about, Colton talks about the things, the heavy weapons and things like that, and some other unique upgrades to those units. So make sure you still watch this video because it's still got a lot of good stuff in it. You can see the updated stuff in the link below.
Hello everybody and welcome back to part 3 of our Empire Tactics Talk report card video. Today I will be going over the support and heavies of Empire and giving them their report card for the evening. If you would like to check out our previous videos covering Empire and GAR, make sure you check out the channel. Already covered operatives, commanders in their own video, and then core and special forces in their own videos, respectively part 1 and 2. And now today we are on part 3. And listen, Empire has it rough. I've talked about this every time, and Empire may need a rebuild, but you know who no longer needs a rebuild? The OKC Thunder! Lifelong OKC fan here. We're in the finals, baby. And I don't know if we're going to be in the finals with Empire, so I'll just break the news to you now. But regardless, today is a good day to talk about what is my most played faction. Looking back on this, I was kind of curious how much expertise I really had in Empire, and I just always forget that they're really the faction I play the most and have won the most with as well. And like I said last time, Longshanks is saying they got 44 win percentage, which is rough in a game with only 4 factions, depending on how you label it. But regardless, I do think they're competitive options. I've definitely found some success with them myself. I don't think it's fair to write them off by any stretch of the imagination. But today we're going to move right along into our support role. Kicking us off, we have Z74 speeder bikes. 2 models apiece, they've got 3 wounds of pop, cover 1, speeder 1, range 1 to 2, they throw 2 black dice, and their front arc blaster cannons at range 1 to 3 is a rainbow with impact 1 per model. Surge to hit, surge to defend at speed 3. I have a really hard time grading bikes because the increase of points to every bike in the game does make sense for their objective play, but man, cover 1 just kind of sucks. It don't get it, and it just feels really bad. I would much rather go back to just taking 1 hit off and maybe having a chance, but bikes are really objective pieces, and for 80 points, you're asking more than you ever have of if that's a valid question. I think with white defense dice and surging to defend, these guys can just get deleted, and they can get deleted quickly. Removed from the board and the board state way too early. As soon as you lose a model, these guys practically don't do any damage. They can be pretty good. You can really outmaneuver your opponent. Blizzard Force is a great example of using bikes to just kind of pincer in on your opponent and outmaneuver them, but I just overall I can't give bikes a very high grade. I'm actually going to give them a C-. They're just so weak that anytime, as soon as I compulse, move, shoot something, it seems like whatever shoots me back just destroys these guys. And now that they're at 80 points, they're just not as cost efficient as they used to be. But honestly, still one of my favorite units in the faction. It's just kind of hard to justify right now with how many big dice pools there are that can just easily one-shot these dudes. Moving on to a really cool option, we have the Dewbacks at 1 model. Armor 1, Relentless, Reposition Spur, Unhindered. They have a melee attack of critical 2, suppressive, 3 red, 3 white. They have 6 wounds, 2 courage. They surge to hit, but they have red defense dice, non-surging. They are speed 1, but can be speed 2 with suppression. They do get 3 different heavy weapons upgrades specific to them. You can either take a flame rifle at range 1 to melee. You can throw a white and a black per model with spray and blast at 10 points. 5 points, you can bring the RT-97C blaster, just like the Stormtroopers, 1 red, 3 white for 5 points, or you can bring the T-21 bleed blaster with critical 2, 4 white at range 1, 2, 3. Very good with Relentless, any of these options. I think dewbacks are fantastic. I genuinely think they're kind of carrying the faction's win rate in a lot of ways. I think most of the really upper end winners with Empire right now are bringing dewbacks. And so because of this, I think it's very fair to say that these guys are a pretty big linchpin in most, if not every, competitive Empire list I've seen. Now, do you want to take a deep breath? They are not just god tier units that need to be put at A+. I don't think that's what they are. I think they're a really solid unit that brings a good melee / shooting option to Empire. The 6 wounds is the biggest thing. Yes, courage value can be a problem when they get too much suppression. They only get 1 action. But with 6 wounds, you have to do all 6 wounds before they lose their offensive value. And that's really good, especially in the state of the game that we're in right now. So I'm going to give dewbacks an A-. I think they do still need an A, but I can't put them over an A or an A+. I just think that's a little unjustified. I think they also get a higher grade because the rest of Empire is so meh that it honestly puts them up. If I was just ranking them overall in Legion from 1 to 100 of best units, they probably wouldn't seem like they're an A- unit in the grand scheme of the game. But this is like, you have to bring this unit almost sometimes in Empire lists to even have a chance. So I have to give them a good grade. But with the heavy weapons, flamethrowers, there's lots of good things they can do. They are a good piece regardless of what you have to say. Next up, we've got E-Web Heavy Blaster at 1 model with prepare positions, reposition, sentinel. They got 2 black dice in melee, 1 to 2 white dice at range 1 to 3. Red, 2 white, 2 black at range 1 to 4. Cumbersome, fixed front, and impact 1. And they are 4 health with 2 courage, surge to crit, speed 1 with red defense dice. So these guys are the literal definition of a gun emplacement. They do also have some generators that they can bring on top of everything. The barrage generator, you exhaust it to add 2 white dice and it gives it suppressive, or you can do an overcharge generator to give it 1 black dice and it also gets impact 1. Both of these are 3 points. I think you almost always bring a generator on these dudes just because for 3 points, who wouldn't want 2 extra dice or 1 extra dice and some free keywords? E-Webs are pretty cost efficient. I think I'll lead with that. They are cost efficient, and past that, that's kind of where they lose me. Prepare positions, once again, they kind of need it because if they had to move onto the table and shoot, it's going to be really rough for them. So they have good turn 1 potential of really lasering down some of your opponent's units. But if your opponents have any responses at range 4, these guys don't necessarily stick around. They're only 4 wounds, so you can absolutely kill an E-Web, no questions asked, if you really want to. And I don't think it takes a ton of effort to do so. In certain armies against things like Gar that maybe don't have any ranged options turn 1, it's really good against. Against things like, I don't know, other Empire players that are bringing range 4 or 5 options, maybe your Gar player did bring ARC troopers with snipers, or maybe your Rebel opponent has just brought some DLTs or the Ion speeders, something like that. In other words, if your opponent has ways to close that range 4 gap, these E-Webs are pretty useless. But I do think they're very cost efficient, so I'm not going to give them a bad grade, but I don't think they're going to make a B today. They're going to make a C+ and just be a slightly above average unit for their cost. Next up, we have Range Troopers, and Range Troopers are 4 models apiece. Advanced Targeting, Trooper 1, meaning if they target a trooper with all of their ranged attacks, they get an aim. Armor 1, Indomitable, Scale, and Spur. They have 2 white dice in melee per model, and 1 black dice at range 1 to 4 per model at ranges 1 to 4. 1 health, 2 courage a pop, red defense dice, no surging either way. They do have a speed 1 move. They can either bring the DLT 20, which is 2 red dice, impact 2 for 25 points, or the T21A range trooper, which is 2 white, 2 black, just straight up suppressive. They increased this unit by 10 points. I don't know why. They were solid, but they weren't good. I would still probably take a Dewback over them. But now that they're 95 points in their cheapest variant with a heavy weapon, that's just a lot of points. Now, mind you, they're not bad. On their card, what they do, the things they get, the tokens they get, it's pretty solid. But once again, we're talking speed 1. Yes, they have Indomitable. Yes, they have Spur, so they do negate that quite a bit. Armor 1 is fantastic, giving you some actual cover for a unit that doesn't really want to take damage early on. It's really good. But the objectives are all close up, the game's close up, and they are not the kind of unit you want getting tied up in melee or anywhere close to range 2 shooting. So it really does feel like a trade-off with these guys, and that 10-point increase is a lot. 10 points is nothing to scoff over, so I do think that definitely knocked down their value. I feel really bad, but I should give them a D+, but I'm gonna give them a C-, just because if I was to give them that and not Death Troopers or some of the other special forces I've talked about, I don't think that's deserving. They just feel like average units. I really don't think that Empire's units are bad. I want people to understand that. They're just all so mediocre that when you run into something like sleeper cells, it feels like your army just sucks. When in reality, they're not bad. They just don't hold up to the other things in the game that cost 98 points for something. So I do think they get a C-, but I could totally agree if someone were like, nope, D+, take them down. So that's all of our supports. We're moving on into heavies. ATST at 145 has got a ton of upgrades you can bring with this bad boy to make it better or worse. It's got Armor 5 though, Arsenal 2, Weak Point 1 rear, 4 red dice at melee, a double rainbow at range 1 to 4 naturally, impact 3, 11 health, breaks at 8, white defense dice, surging to defend, not to hit. Let me run through everything that you can bring with this bad boy, and I'll go over these vehicle upgrades once that are options for everything. You can bring First Sergeant, I call him Arab, with Tactical 1 for 5 points. General Weiss is Arsenal 2, and he gets Field Commander. Governor Price is a Field Commander as well, and choose a friendly trooper unit at range 2, gains an aim and a suppression. And then Hammer Elite Pilot just gives for 10 points surge to hit, increasing your dice pool. You can bring 3 total heavy weapons upgrades for your ATST. You can bring the 88 Twin Light Blaster, giving you an extra rainbow with impact 1 for 10 points at range 1 to 3. The Mortar at range 4 and beyond for 3 white dice, suppressive and fixed front for 5 points. Or you can do the Concussion Grenade Launcher at range 1 to 2, 2 black, fixed front, and blast for 8 points. My favorite version of ATST is to bring General Weiss and put all 3 of these upgrades on him to just have a giant gun platform. But ATSTs aren't bad. Once again, I feel like I'm repeating myself like a broken record system talking about Empire. It just feels like everything's mediocre. There are other armor options in the game that are better. My real issue with ATSTs is the Ion keyword. They really want both actions. Their dice pool can feel very mediocre if you're not pouring into them and supporting them, giving them extra tokens with things like Veers or Krennic or Exemplar, wherever you can find it, to give them 2 actions. And honestly, 11 health is going to help offset white defense dice more than other things, but ATSTs are not exactly impossible to kill. Yes, Armor 5 is massive, but at the end of the day, if you really do have anti-armor options, you're not going to have a ton of trouble killing an ATST. Now, at 145 points at a base cost, that's actually not bad, and you could just easily add 1 heavy weapon, maybe the Surge to Hit upgrade, and make it 165. That's really not that expensive for a vehicle, but its damage output, even with a triple rainbow, can kind of fall flat. If you're not surging to hit, or you just kind of roll half average, it doesn't feel like what an ATST should on the tabletop. I don't really know how else to describe that. It's just sometimes when I get shot by an ATST and I'm playing like Republic, for instance, it's like, oh, I got 3 cover saves and I'm gonna dodge 1 and I'm gonna roll for 4 and I block 3 and I lose 1 dude. I feel like that happens a lot with ATSTs where they don't have much more impact other than just killing stuff. And I don't think they do that at a high enough rate to rank them too high, but I'm once again just going to give the ATST a C. I think it's just the average armor piece in the game. I'll give it a little bit of love for anti-armor capabilities. It does have a lot of impact on it. Imperial Dark Troopers, you have Armor 3, Plotting, Unconcerned, Unstoppable, 1 red, 1 white in melee, 1 black dice at range 1 to 3. They are 3 models a pop, 2 wounds apiece, no courage because they are technically vehicles, and they do not surge either way, but they are speed 1. They have a unique upgrade called Program Loyalty, where they can get an aim or a dodge with retinue, being at range 1 to 2 of commander. They have 3 upgrades and 3 slots for those upgrades. You can either bring the Myrtleizer, which is 36 points, which is 2 red, 1 black in melee, suppressive as well. Frag Launchers, 2 red, 1 black at range 1 to 2. Blast Cycle, Impact 2 for 45 points. And the Assault Cannon is 4 black dice at range 1 to 3, critical 1 at 55 points. You can also, they have 2 heavy weapon slots, 1 personnel slot, which is just an extra Dark Trooper for 32 points. These guys used to be the absolute bane of my existence. They would keep me up at night. I want to be able to sleep. I would just toss and turn at night thinking about Dark Troopers, since they get 2 order tokens and essentially can go twice. But they've got a lot going against them. Number 1, going from pure armor to armor 2 is a giant, and I do mean giant, slap in the face. Let's not forget they've also had a massive points increase over the course of their lifespan. If you're taking an average unit with a frag, assault cannon, and an extra trooper, essentially the truly beefed up unit of Dark Troopers, that is 227 points. Now mind you, that is a total of 6 times 2 being 12 wounds. There's nothing to scoff at, but at the same time, for 227 points, that's a lot. That's a lot of points. Okay, Armor 2 is only going to, I said Armor 2 multiple times now. Armor 3 is going to help you a lot, but I don't think it's enough against certain armies. And this is another one of those units that once you get past those regular models and you eat one of the heavy weapons, they really feel like they lose a lot of their value. Now, I have seen people use them. I did also put them in my video of biggest losers of Legion. But once again, I don't think they're a quote-unquote terrible unit, but I think their cost efficiency is terrible, and they don't really synergize with anything either besides Gideon, so they have a rough time. Only being able to move once is honestly my biggest problem with them. Yes, you can go twice turn 1 and move them twice, but with 2 speed 1 moves, you may not be shooting till your second activation of turn 2. And with a unit that costs 227 points, if you don't have a copy of Force Push on you, I don't know if I want to bring you. So I'm going to give Dark Troopers a C-. I still think they can be absolutely devastating giving the right type of support, but for the most part, they're just too expensive that if you focus on them enough, they're just going to come off the table quicker than you need them to. But nonetheless, getting to go twice with any unit in the game and honestly not affecting the pass pool situation is a really niche thing that I think some people are going to be surprised by when you do it. Next up, we have the LAATLE Patrol Transport. We have talked about this thing before, but it gets a different ranking in this faction. Armor 5, Arsenal 2, Cover 1, Hover Air, Immune Melee Blast, Range 1 weapons. It is Transport, 2 red, 2 white at range 1 to 3, Impact 1, Fixed Front, 8 wounds, breaks at 6, Surging White Defense Dice, Speed 2. This Bad Mama Jama can bring any of the missiles, has Baron Rudor as a pilot, which after this unit makes a recover action, it gains an aim. Governor Price can pick a friendly unit in range 1 to 2 to get an aim and a suppression, or you can get an Imperial TIE pilot for 8 points and make that bad boy speed 3. In Empire, I just don't have a ton of things that you're going to drop off, because you could totally drop off something cool like Imperial Royal Guard. No, you can't. Psych, you thought. And you best believe that putting something in here like Riot Troopers is not going to help anyone be have a good time with either unit, so just forget about that. So for the most part, they just don't really have anything to transport. You could do like snows and give them a flamethrower, I guess, but there's no really amazing melee option for Empire to transport in here. So honestly, the best thing you could probably do in here a lot of times is do like a Black Sun unit, which is just like, might as well play Shadow Collective in a bus. So I think in Empire, this thing's even worse. I'm honestly just going to straight up give this thing an F+, and it's only because it just feels like it's just here. It's just in the faction. It doesn't have anything to carry anymore, and it's just not a very good unit on its own. It's maybe okay cost efficiency wise, but I'm a big hater of this thing. So, you know, maybe that's a little rough to give it an F+, but I feel that way. Like, I've never seen it in Empire work or anyone do anything cool with it. Last but not least is the Gav Tank. I will admit, I don't have a ton of experience with the Gav Tank. This is one of the few models I straight up don't own, so I'm not gonna lie to you on that. But I played against it an innumerable amount of times. At one model, you have Armor 5, Arsenal 2, Reposition, Transport, Weak Point Sides 1. It has 2 different weapons built into it, which is 1 red, 1 black at range 1 to 2. Suppressive quad cannons are 2 and 2 red, 2 black, impact 2, not fixed front. Or sorry, is fixed front. 8 wounds, breaks at 6, speed 1. You can bring Field Sergeant Amarin, General Weiss again, Governor Price, and Imperial Hammer Pilot. So all of the options ATST had minus a couple. Then it has 2 extra heavy weapons you can bring for 18 points. You can bring the the DLT 19 for impact 1. You have at range 1 to 4, 2 red dice. So back to the DLT 19 for the 13th time. You'd also do the RT 97 blaster, which is also back at 14 points, 1 red, 3 white. You know, it's just one of those units that you don't see a ton of anymore, and I think there's reasons for that. The big thing for me is at 8 wounds, even with armor 5 and red dice, that's not exactly promising, but it's only 125 now, which is actually kind of impressive cost-wise. But once again, it's going to feel a little bit better in terms of making sure that the right unit gets transported. It's not as aggressive as the ship. It's a little more tanky like a tank should be. And so it's going to stick around longer. Its offense is just pretty mediocre. I think that's my biggest complaint with it. With 2 red, 2 black, and whether you're doing the DLT, the RT7, whatever, we're looking at like 6, 7, 8 dice, no surging, you need aims. It has a massive base, so even at speed 1, it's actually a lot faster than it looks, but this is just one of those units, if you really want to kill it, you can, but honestly, it may be better to just leave it alone. The weak point sides is the worst type of weak point until something gets weak point front, because you can just easily maneuver around its massive sides on the back and just shoot away at it and get impact 1 for free. So I think you're going to see this thing come off the table a lot more. Once again, transport's just kind of a rough keyword in Empire in particular. Maybe you could do something cool like scout troopers with saboteurs. I didn't really mention that with the ship, but I do think this is a slightly better version of the LE patrol transport. And 125 is not a terrible asking point in my opinion for this unit, but I am going to give it a D+. I don't want to put it in the C category. I think it deserves to be down one more, but yeah, that's our support and our heavies for Empire. Let me know what you guys think. I love talking about what works for you, what units you think should be higher, lower. I love that conversation. That's the main point of this video, is to give players that don't really know a basis to go off of, and players that do know something to discuss and see what other people are doing right or even wrong with units that they are also playing. So make sure to check out parts 1 and 2 if you haven't. We'll be moving straight on to the next faction the next time you see me. We will cover bounty hunters at one point, I promise you that. I'll probably save that after we cover all of our main factions, as bounty hunters are my boys. Make Empire great again. Watch this dadgum freaking thing and let me know what you guys are doing to win. Like I said, Empire's actually been my most successful faction this edition and has helped me achieve a pretty high ranking in Longshanks. So I don't know. I think there's competitive options, but let me know what you guys are playing to win your games. As always, good luck, have fun, see you next time.